Okay, so I did my review yesterday. Something happened with the video. It got too big and it wouldn't upload, so I need to do it again. So here we go. It's late, but this is the review. So we started out where we left off in the last episode, and that's with Veronica flipped over in the car. Of course, she's screaming help. Melissa's mocking her, and she's just, I think she told her catch your breath, girl, and some other stuff, and she's like, it's not funny, help me. And I'm like, she's just lacked self-awareness. And I said, do you really think this girl's gonna help you after what you did to her? And one part that did make sense is Melissa didn't look like she had been in a car accident. I mean, just no smudges or anything. Her clothes didn't look torn or dirty or anything. And I said, well, I don't know what the director or whatever was thinking. That was an error right there. Okay, and so and so of course Benny and Mitch have to pull up and do the right thing, and Melissa's telling them don't help her, and of course yeah, or something, and they had to help her out the car. And so when the paramedics get there, they're putting her in the loading her into the ambulance, and then she's saying to Benny, I don't want to be by myself, I don't have anybody. So he climbs up there in the ambulance with her. And before that happened, Melissa was saying, you should have let her die, you should have let her die. And Benny's telling her, chill out, don't say that. All of that. So then we get to, let's talk about Jim. Now Jim is all getting angry again because he booked a room on David's credit card, and they still weren't letting him in. And the Broderick at the desk, he's like, well, it wasn't under your name, and we need ID. And so Jim just goes on, I'm gonna burn this place down, I own this and that, and which he really owns nothing. Everything he has is due to Catherine. And finally Broderick just says, okay, we'll say Mr. Harrington booked the room, and that was that. So Jim gets into his room, and he talks to Brandon, Oscar, whatever name that guy likes to go by, and he's telling him about Quita trying to use that credit card and giving him an update. And Jim really wants to know where Wyatt's money is at. It's overseas, so obviously Wyatt has some financial sense to try to keep his money secret. And at this point, I don't think Jim is all that concerned about getting Wyatt's money away from him in terms of Wyatt's safety. I think he's trying to get Wyatt's money for himself. That's just what I think at this point, because Catherine has closed the bank, cut Jim off. Jim has nothing. So that's what I think Jim is trying to pull. Now let's talk a little bit about Hanna. So Hannah's, she's in the house singing, and the house builder comes there to fix the sink. And she's, he's saying, was that you singing? And, she makes a little joke about the walls being thin, whatever. And then she gets a call from the morgue, and there was something in Quincy Jr.'s pocket, and they're saying, well, come on down and pick it up. And she gets off the phone. She looks distressed. So the guy that built the house, he asks her, is anything wrong? Are you all right? And she details their grandson was murdered and all that. And he says, well, I'm sorry about that. And then she gets onto the phone to Catherine, and she tells her, well, I got to go to the morgue and pick up something that was in Quincy's pocket. And Catherine's like, well, do you want me to come with you? She's, obviously showing some concern there. And Hannah's like, no, I'll be fine. And I'm like, okay, so but you called Catherine. I was wondering why she called her if she didn't want her to go. And Hannah's like, well, I wanted to make sure it was okay to leave this man in here. And Catherine's like, oh, it's fine. He's very trustworthy. And I'm like, Hannah, you're going to be like, ooh, Miss Catherine, should I leave this black man in the house? That's what I got from it. I just thought it was really ignorant for her to be. Because obviously the guy was trustworthy. He came in. He just seemed like a trustworthy person. And I think Catherine sent him there to try to give Hannah somebody, because Catherine said to her, "He's cute, isn't he?" And so, where do we go from here? Let's just go to Jeffrey and Justin. So Justin's taking him out of his cell once again, and the other prisoners are hooting and hollering. And I'm like, this is gonna start looking suspicious. It already looks suspicious in the first place, but Justin, he's taking Jeffrey out of his cell again, and I'm like, it's really gonna look like something's up if you keep doing this. So he takes him to the holding, not the holding cell, the interrogation room. I think it's the interrogation room again. And Jeffrey's like, "Come on now, you can't. You're gonna get caught. Somebody could walk in." And Justin's like, "Well, that's what makes it so fun." Justin's all just like obsessed, crazy, and Jeffrey's not smart enough to play along with it, because he's gonna really mess Jeffrey up if Jeffrey does not comply with him. And so he wasn't able to get a hold of David. Justin wasn't able to get a hold of David because David was not answering his phone. Well, he didn't recognize the number, so he didn't answer it, which I don't think he was answering his phone anyway, because he was preoccupied with Erica. And so at David's house, she comes back and she's got, "I didn't get that much." She has a few bags, but it's like $400 worth of stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's a lot of stuff, but I guess it's not as much as she could. What'd she say? Yeah, he's trying to build the bed, and I'm like, okay, we obviously know what you're worried about. So, and then we get a scene with them, and now I think Justin was actually trying to call David from Jeffrey's phone, and David was not picking. "Well, I'm not picking up my phone." And Erica's phone is ringing at the same time. It's ringing, ringing, ringing. It's ringing. What? Yeah, he's mesmerized. He's like Linda Jones, that Linda Jones song. "Hypnotized, you got me hypnotized." And so at the same time, Erica's phone is ringing, ringing, ringing. She ignores it, and finally it goes like when you get a text. And she looks at the text, and it says something like, "Bitch, I guess you better," something. I guess it was basically Candace telling her, "You pick up this phone now." So Erica tries to brush it off like, "Oh, it's my sister. Let me call her back." So she calls her back, and Candace is just like, "I want $100,000. You better get it for me. I don't care. Next time I call, you better have it for me." And Erica's really scared now. None of the smart talk anymore. And war is dead. And, without that backup, then she has nothing to go up against Candace with. So now she's in a bind, and she's got to get that money. And so, okay, I missed the part where, Catherine's hotel manager, Broderick, he's like, I guess him and his friend at the hotel, they're running some kind of prostitution ring. The other guy, he wants to get more girls. Broderick wants more money, and he's going to do it get that money by going after Catherine. And the other guy's like, "Are you crazy? She's not going to take you out in public." And he's like, "You want to bet?" Yeah, I mean, and the guy's like, she's not. And I said, do you want to bet? I mean, you see how Catherine has acted. She was winking at him in the last episode, and you know, yeah, she's thirsty. She's thirsty. No, but yeah. So he's gonna try to get somebody out of Catherine. Let me think. Make sure I haven't missed anything. Okay, so Candace and Oscar, Brandon, whatever he goes by. Jim was calling him Oscar, whatever. And so he's still trying to get her to target Charles. I got this great mark, you need to go for it. Do you know how much first ladies make when they get out of office, when they write books, such and such? And she's like, I don't care, I don't care. And Oscar Brandon's like, okay, well, you're just gonna stay here and rob old men? And she's like, yeah. And because she's like, I don't give a care anymore. Her son's dead, so you know how that goes. And Oscar takes a call about Quita, and Candace hears that name. He's like, wait, how do you know her? And as the conversation goes on, Brandon wants her to talk to Quita, and she's like, hell no, I can't stand that crackhead. And but I think in a preview, I think we saw that Candace is gonna talk to her or something. And then Candace finds out that Jeffrey is in jail for the murder of Quincy. So Brandon let her know that. And what else was of note? Okay, so speaking of Charles, we see Charles and Landon. And Landon's acting real suspicious. He's like, okay. He's like, and I like my job. I take it seriously. And Charles is like, okay, this is just a job for you. Why are you so? And I felt like Landon was trying to set Charles up to for something.
Seducing and old Charles seemed to be flirting.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like they're talking about drinks, and I'm like, okay, what's?
And Landon just a jealous and trying to compete.
Yeah. Well, but he's probably still mad at her because she sent those people up there to scare him, and he wet his pants. I don't know. That was I don't know where that scene came from.
That was bizarre.
Yeah, but anyway, so let's get to the ending. So Hannah's coming out of the morgue, and at the same time, Veronica's being rolled into the hospital. And Benny has her hand, and as soon as he sees Hanna, he's like he doesn't want. And Hanna didn't even have a chance to look. Hanna didn't even really have a chance to look before he pulled his hand away from Veronica. And because you know she told him that woman's a hoe, stay away from her, she's no good, you don't need to be involved with her. Okay, and so that was the show. I think next week, I'm trying to think what we get next week, can't remember what the preview was, but some interesting stuff is coming up, I think. We did, and in the preview, I did see that Veronica looks like she's going to recover. She's telling us she wants her daughter-in-law committed, and that's not even her daughter-in-law. Melissa's not married to Jeffrey, but anyway, that is the review, and I will see you next week.